common.
We should make that a. I wonder if people like that, like the deal of the day. All right, I think I'm
Let's
going
do
live
it.
on YouTube. So we might be live right now.
That's fine. Let's add that in.
I think
I'll
that'd be
put that
awesome.
in. Put it under combat, whether it fits or not. That's fine.
All right, we are live. JHW3D, you're in. How you doing? He got the epic first comment in chat.
It's important right there. That's the one you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let me go ahead and do the intro. We're already a minute in. This is how tonight's gonna go. We're gonna be rambling on a lot here. All right, I'll do the basic intro. Welcome and good evening to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph, your host, speaking, streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. It's been a while. Neindorf, how you doing?
You're doing well. How are you?
Hanging in there. Feeling a little lonely. Not as many heroes to hang out with at the moment. All right. Why don't you kick us off with question of the day?
Yeah, so absolutely. I guess you kind of already had a good lead in for it. What are you noticing the missing heroes? Is it making an impact? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I would say I am missing my heroes quite a bit. Um, the piece that I think I underestimated the most is how many of the heroes that top tier to me that I wanted to send on the perilous journey that are miners. And so now I feel like I actually went out and bought a miner last night because my mining crew was just decimated. I think I have 5 people, and it's not even enough to do the 2-2-2 to keep them kind of moving and going. So how about you?
It's hilarious. It's the same thing. After we, loaded them all aboard, I looked over. I think I had 4 miners. I was like, oh no, that's like this isn't gonna go well. So luckily, I'll give a shout out to Guy Kid on our Discord. He helped. He gave me one. He sold me one of his miners at a nice fair price and helped me fill that gap. So yeah, that was definitely one of the things. And I also noticed too that I used to have an absolute boatload of fishers and foragers. And I feel like now I'm down to just one forager and just a couple fishers. So, it's yeah, I'm noticing that those quest rewards are definitely not stacking up like they used to.
No, no, they're not. Um, yeah, I feel like already I'm getting, at that last couple days, I did a little bit of stand potting there, and I was, just trying to get to as many levels as possible. And so actually brought my rune supply pretty low. And now that like I don't have that many heroes, it's making me kind of uncomfortable. Like, oh gosh, when am I going to rebuild this? So yeah, it's been weird, a little lonely. I actually sent out all of my fishers as well. Not intentionally, but they just happened to be. I think I only had 5 to begin with, so not even a full set. But yeah, all the fishers are on the boat. Hopefully that brings me some good luck and they don't catch a kraken.
No kidding. They come back with the head, right?
Right. Yeah, one other thing that I should mention, it's in title of the episode here, but episode 20, can't believe it. I think we started, I want to say December 8th is the date that I had in my head. A bit of nostalgia, looking at things lately. I also had to reboot MetaMask on my phone. It gave me this weird error message where it's like, add a memory, and uninstall and reinstall. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll do that. And I lost all the alternate networks, and I forgot how much of a pain in the butt it is to get into DeFi Kingdoms. And I was searching through our text messages where you had sent me a link to that yield farming website. where you connect your
Yeah, yep.
wallet and it says, all right, this is, what your APRs, this is how much you have staked. And then I was like, oh, yeah, this was the first text message that I had sent to you with a picture of the old school game. And I said, I'm in. And
Yeah,
then
that was
my very
you
first
coming
question,
aboard.
my very first question is, what's the difference between gardens and the bank? And I'm not sure I'm any smarter. Just know a little more about DFK now.
Oh, that's right. That's pretty funny. That's actually a good point too, because it's like, sometimes we get like really deep into the topics here, and we kind of forget at times that there are people just onboarding right now, new users coming in. And so maybe we should try to drop some links into some of that older content, some of that intro material to help those newer listeners, somewhat get up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the idea. All right. Well, first on our topic of items to go through today, Perilous Journey. We got into a little bit of who we sent and who we have questing now. Anyone that maybe you regret sending on the Perilous Journey?
You know, it, all of them and none of them at the same time, I guess. I was doing the math and I realized how much jewel worth of NFTs you sent onto a
Yikes.
quest where they could not come back, and it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of scary,
That's a scary
um,
number.
isn't it though? Yeah. And then we were talking a little bit too, on the other end of it, who you didn't send that you maybe regret or not regret, and it's we talked in the previous episode with Mr. Zipper on some of the heroes that we were looking at their stats and going over. And it's like, yeah, maybe some of these guys we should have sent and so they can maintain that edge. But maybe a little bit later in the episode, we'll go through some other ideas we have for some of those heroes that stayed behind, maybe to help keep them in the loop, if you will.
Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth on should I send my Dark Knight. I actually have two Dark Knights that I ended up holding back because, according and shout out to the DFK Tavern website. They have a fun little battle calculator out there that I've been using, and that was kind of like my final decision on a couple heroes. Is if they are super high ranked on battle right now, according to this random system, I decided to hold a couple guys back because they were in the supposedly in the 99th percentile.
Nice.
And I don't know if it was the right choice or not, but it's the choice I made, and we've been hanging out and missing our other compatriots together.
Yeah, the campfire talks at night are somewhat lonely with these heroes.
Yeah, definitely. So our heroes come back Wednesday. Is that right?
Yep, I believe that's true. Yep, the 16th. So
And
we got, just shy of a week left yet. We got a good long while yet here to, contemplate our future in the game and how we're going to handle their return and these I like as you called them in our last episode, the death stones or death crystals.
right.
Um, how are we going to burn those off? Are you going to spread them out? Are you going to try to focus on heroes? So there's a lot of things we've got to talk about here in the next 6 days, I think.
Yeah, I mean, let's just jump into that one right away. So I think in order to maximize the value of those heroes that I was too scared to send out, well, we have a secret alpha strategy that we're going to talk about here in a moment. Maybe we can just jump into that right after this. We're going all off script today, guys. We're
Yeah, why
all out of
not?
sorts. Um, but those heroes that I was on the fence on that are already super high. I want to be leveling them right now, and every level up opportunity. I mean, you had a good reminder to me the other day. Always be using stones every level up that you have on whoever's going to be those top heroes that you imagine for PvP someday. And I feel like just like questing in the early days, like get started, go now because you are going to get behind if you don't. I feel like it's the same way with levels. There aren't that many heroes out there that are above level 7 right now still. And I think that there's an opportunity that if someone is very diligent about their questing, that they can, try to maintain any kind of edge. And remember, those heroes that are on the boat right now, they will get a full bar of experience, they'll level up. And so use the time that you have now wisely. Um, and I actually haven't used a single atonement stone yet, and I don't know if I'm regretting that a little bit, but I chose not to because I didn't know who I was going to send on the perilous journey. And so I didn't want to accidentally send one of those, precious. I think I only got 5 major atonement stones out, and so I wanted to hang on to those. How about you? Have you used yours?
So I've used, I think, 3 or 4 out of the 8 majors I've gotten. And yeah, unfortunately, I used 1 or 2 of them on heroes that I thought were going to be like, you know, those forever hero that you held. And then it turns out, yeah, I think 2 or 3 of them ended up on the boat. So I think I'm with you on that one that, if I'd have known about the perilous journey, I probably would have held those crystals in reserve. Or I never really anticipated that I would have sent them on a possible death march, I guess. So, it's kind of interesting how that works out. And then I did, um, I had sold another a mythic hero that I had, and I had used. He just had leveled from 1 to 2, and I had used one on him again, just with that mind of keeping those more special heroes sort
Mm-hmm.
of on their edge. But then having sold him, it's like, well, shoot, oh well. But I think, yeah, moving forward, I'm going to be a lot more particular about who and when I use those. And yeah, like we were talking about, if this is a hero that I want to try to push for PvP and to get those max skills, yeah, never level up without some sort of crystal applied. Just give him every chance he can to have the most stats or health or stamina or whatever it is possible.
Yeah, and in the chat, JHW3D just said, I got rugged today so bad on my level up. Got only +2 points from going from level 5 to 6. Made me wish I had sent him on a journey. Oh,
Ouch.
I am feeling. We're gonna pour a little out for you. That
No
yeah,
doubt.
that brings a tear to the eye for sure. So sorry, sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, I haven't made any level ups since that, and I can imagine that exact feeling. So that's tough for sure. Well, let's talk about our secret hidden alpha strategy. So we were texting last night, and I had actually started doing this a couple weeks ago, and then toned it down a little bit as I was trying to optimize my levels before the perilous journey. And it's what I'm endearingly calling I'm a recreational pot user. And to clarify on that, recreational stamina potion user. And so what I found is, one of my best characters is a gardener, and I think this works in my mind best for like gardeners, and miners could be up there as well because of the time difference. But the strategy is, and it does matter how much you potentially have staked inside the gardens. But I have enough staked in the gardens right now that every time that my best gardener goes out for a run and comes back, every 4 hours or so, whatever it is, he pulls in just under or around 1 jewel total. And right now, with all the airdrops, stamina pots cost 1.5 jewel. A couple days ago, they cost 2.5 jewel. And so what I've been doing is buying stamina pots and using that 1 jewel every trip to start financing what I'm calling, that recreational pot usage, to keep my hero leveling up as fast as possible. I've actually been, pretty thrilled with the results so far. And Neindorf, I think I got you hooked on the Stampot strategy as well.
Yeah, I'm just worried that it's a gateway sort of problem here. But yeah, I'm a little less gardens. I think I'm about 8/10 of a jewel. But yeah, when I woke up this morning and those airdrops hit, yeah, it was funny. I went to the marketplace just to see, and yeah, I noticed that the stamina pots were at like 1.4 jewel, and by the time I got my gardens claimed so that I could go buy some, it was already back up to like 1.8. And I was like, dang, like they're going quick. So I bought, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them. And I've been doing it. And I think you're right in the sense that it works with gardeners and miners because you don't have the sense of urgency. Like it still
Right.
feels like you're just playing the game. if you're doing this with fishers and foragers, it's like, when do
You'll
you
burn
quit?
through that. Yeah. And with
Yeah, exactly.
gardeners also the thing to remember is that's free money. I mean that
That's
the
right.
gardeners that is you're pulling from the quest fund, and so that those are jewels earned. You know, if you're pulling from your mining fund, that is kind of taking away from your potential future value of jewel that you might have locked away. And so I don't know. I've been pretty excited about it, and especially with that, like you said, the recent airdrop. I mean, if you're pulling, even if you pull half a jewel, one jewel for a stamina pot to keep your character going through and really power leveling. I think that's a really decent strategy and something that I hope some of our listeners can pick up on.
Yeah, and I think you're right in the sense that if you're making, even a third or a half of a jewel with a gardener, that also means that you're pulling in garden rewards by harvesting on the side too. So between the harvest rewards and the gardener rewards, you can basically pay for this with more or less free jewel. And you're
Right.
not actually hitting your investment like you were talking about with the mining.
Right. And that's, I mean, we should all look for ways that you can find those niches in the game. And of course, we have to say this is not financial advice, but, I think all of us love the idea of, not having to pay to play the game, and still level up our characters, earn rewards. And that doesn't even count the general quest rewards that you get, the milkweed and whatever those little spider crystals are. They look like the alien in its first
Rails or
form.
whatever.
They look like the alien in first form, don't you think?
Yeah, they do.
They
And
creep
then
me
they
out.
pop
Just
out and
just
slam onto your face.
yeah. They they creep me out
Uh,
just enough that I don't like getting them, except when I use
yeah,
them to buy more stamina pots. So
that's right.
that's good.
Yeah, and that's another thing too is I guess I did check I checked the price of stamina pots, but I actually forgot this morning to check the price of gold. Like maybe people were swapping out their airdropped gold um, for Jewel just to keep it in a more, to consolidate, if you will. I heard you chatting on our Discord earlier. You were saying you had quite the windfall of gold. I hear.
Pull,
What'd you pull?
pulled in quite the Chad balance here. 407 gold. Boy, am I feeling like a rich man today. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and look at it right now. The conversion from jewel to gold. So one jewel is 962 gold.
Okay.
And I guess I'll be honest. I have no context to what that
So
was.
I think this morning when I want to say now I'm trying to remember. I feel like I looked at it and it was down to like 916.
Uh,
So I don't know
and
if
so
it
it's
had the effect I thought or not.
I guess what I do have a reference on is I used to stamp pot a lot, and that cost 2,000 gold every time. And I think that was
Yep.
around. It was a little over $2 a jewel, or excuse me, 2 jewels per 2,000 gold. And right now we're straight at 2 jewels for 2,000 gold. So it looks like it's
Okay.
kind of stayed relatively flat.
Okay. So we've kind of got an equilibrium here going, it seems.
Yeah, and then let's just while we're on stream and I'm now caught up in the air, I'll take a look at stamina pots and see what
Sure.
those are running for.
And also too, they did airdrop um, some health and some mana potions. I think I ended up with three of each of those. And I looked just to see what those prices were this morning. It was like, I don't know, 0.17 joules. So they're
Oh,
effectively they don't have usage yet. So
those
it's
got
like,
sold off instantaneously.
yes, they did.
Yeah, it's just under 2.2 joules per stamina pot. So it's come back up a
Yeah.
little bit from where it was this morning. I'm sitting at 14. I just went ahead and bought ahead on a few. Um,
Yep.
Not sitting on very many jewel. I know. So let's kind of transition a little bit here. I know you recently had actually a nice windfall with selling one of your heroes, and you decided Heck, I'm gonna throw that straight into the gardens. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it was kind of like one of those realizations where I was hero heavy, I felt, as far as my total value invested into DFK. And just because of sometimes the hero market isn't, especially for the more expensive heroes, is not very liquid. Like you might, if you want to get decent dollar for decent jewel rather for your hero, you might have to have them listed for a while, and just you got to kind of find that right buyer, right? And so that kind of made me a little nervous as turbulent times in the market. So I was like, you know what, I'd rather have some liquid jewel. So I had a warrior a mythic, and I listed him and sold him, and I immediately split that into Jewel One and basically put it right into the gardens. And that's helped me juice up, like you're saying, the gardener returns, and B, just that normal daily harvest that I have available to me. And maybe I do that for a week or two or a month and just kind of collect these rewards, and I could just probably just turn around and buy another mythic and be ahead, you know, 30, 40, 50 joule possibly. That's one of those odd things where there's not a lot of, other than questing at the moment, there's nothing you can really do with your mythics and your, legendary advanced or elites yet. So it was kind of one of those decisions that I came to. And it's like, there's always going to be heroes for sale. They might be a little more of a premium, but if you watch and you put out alerts with the DFK Adventures website, you can find decent deals.
Yeah, I truly believe that as well. And I mean, good for you. Getting a chance to sell that guy, and I think that's something that is smart for everyone to keep in the back of their mind is, you know, and again, we can't tell you how to play this game from a financial perspective, but something to keep in mind is, are you playing to earn? Are you, playing for fun? And what's that going to be? And, always making sure you kind of check in on your system. I know something that I want to do going forward is at some point, I've been especially since we saw, the recent, drop in price of Jewel, I've been, stay, invest, buy the dip, that kind of strategy. Don't, take my financial advice at home, but at some point here, I'm gonna actually, try to, make my heroes a little more liquid, and start pulling that jewel out. I have some real life obligations, student loans, that I need to
No
pay
doubt.
off. And, I think that's something that, we all have to keep in mind. So kudos to you for taking a flyer, testing a hero on the market, fighting that urge of, that kind of, attachment. And, I think that was the best thing to do right before the perilous journey is say, all right, if they sell for a great price, awesome. Otherwise, sending them on the boat.
Yeah,
And
no, that's a
yeah,
great point. Yeah.
so
And I
kudos to
still
you.
had a good 8 heroes that I sent or something like that. So I mean, I feel like I took a somewhat measured approach. I'm like, I want to increase my liquid jewel. I want to send some so I'm not missing out on this entire opportunity to have these awesome plus 15 skills, but yet still be measured and calibrated a little bit here. So I think that was yeah it felt good, I guess. Do you miss that hero a little bit? Sure,
Yeah,
but there will always be another one, right?
yeah. It feels good as a a balance in the gardens for sure. And like we said, it's helping that that new Stampot cheat code.
You bet.
All right. Well, we had a good question on YouTube chat. I wonder if it's cheaper to buy stamina pots versus buying the ingredients to craft one. And I had done a whole bunch of analysis on this, probably about a month ago now, and I'm not at all current with this analysis, but I think so much of it depended on the last time I looked at it was the price of gold. That the price of gold made up, I want to say like 85-90% of the total price of a stamp pot, being the 2,000 gold for every stamp pot that you buy. And so a really good and cheap way to kind of figure out or approximate, what that's going to be. Check the price of gold. check the price of stand pots. If they're identical, then you know you're going to win when you're buying a stand pot. And that's something that I guess it looks to me right now with where we're at in the market that they're about even. And so my guess is we've kind of achieved an equilibrium since the airdrops that were given out a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, maybe just to add to that too, these other portions of the stamina potion, they don't have any other really use yet again. So, kind of we're back to that where their
Right,
value is actually
right.
probably at an extreme low because there's nothing to do with them other than hoard or sell for gold. So, like, I think that you'll start to see as more of the game comes out, and maybe it comes into crafting that we've heard them mention. Maybe those will require these in-game items too.
Yeah.
And then those other items might have additional value and could possibly make up a larger portion of that stamina pot
Yeah,
cost.
let's
So
let's touch on that for a second. So crafting, my understanding is Hubert came out and said that you will be able to craft these uh, we'll go back to last episode, death crystals because, despite Mr. Zipper's best attempts to educate me, he failed, and I would have to say it's probably actually not on him. It's probably I failed on interpretation, and anyways, the point that I believe I'm understanding is that those death crystals, so the stones you use to boost the percentage chance of a level up of a specific skill, those crystals are items that you can craft in the future based on the gardening or all the different profession quest rewards, and I'm super stoked about that.
yeah, and I feel like something that I had seen, maybe it was back at DFK Day or something. I really felt like I saw somewhere at least. You know how like you got your game inventory and you pop open inventory and you see the little icons of all the stuff you've collected. I'm pretty sure I saw one that looked like lumber or like wood.
Yeah.
So I would not be too surprised if we see something coming out of Crystal Vale, related to like logging or harvesting of wood. And that fits very well into crafting, like, certain types of armor or shields, perhaps, where they require wood. Or maybe it even has to do with construction of buildings on land. I don't know. I'm just going to hypothesize.
I love where you're going. Let's go ahead and bounce into our general items category of the night. We're like I said earlier, we're all over the place. Um, but Crystal Vale trailer, you watched it, we
Yep.
saw it. Obviously there's the three new classes at the end. We'll get to that. What'd you think of the Crystal Vale trailer?
That was good. I mean, I loved the feel. It felt like a nostalgic trailer from way back when. I think that's what they're really nailing in my book is it doesn't seem like it's not new and fancy and shiny in regards to the feel of the game. It's the technology that's new and fancy. The game is still, I think, setting itself up to be just that really cool niche game where it's, that 8-bit low pixelated. Like, I don't know. I'm loving it personally.
I love it too, and I don't know. I thought it was really high quality, really well done, and kind of the juxtaposition of the text message that I referenced at the intro, where I actually sent you a picture of the in game
Yeah.
screen of what that used to look like. And I was like, holy cow, look at where we've come. Like, the game is so much different from where it was before. And it's just like the effort that they put into that trailer, I thought was pretty impressive. Especially when we're in a market that's going down at best. I guess we saw a little bit of Bitcoin returns. I think it was today and yesterday a bit. But, overall, we're still down from where we were a couple months ago. And it's nice to see a team that's really dedicated and leaning into the build aspect of the game. I don't know. I was kind of blown away by the trailer. I'm obviously a hardcore believer in the project, in the development team, and just excited about how much they're putting into this. and then just seeing how much, like Avalanche is pouring into the community. I think I saw. I shouldn't even say what the number I thought I saw was, but I read an article today that Avalanche is pouring, you know, uh, multi millions of dollars into decentralized finance games, and DFK is the poster child for that. So pretty exciting and pretty cool that's what's going on. And I feel like something to remind our users or listeners and the players of the game, while some of the airdrops can be a little defeating because they're geared towards supporting the economy system, which in a way helps whales more, is that we're still hopefully in the early parts of the game. And so, keep at it, keep leaning in, and the game's going to keep getting bigger and better. That's what I believe, at least.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. As a play to earn, it's just kind of the way the world works, right? Money makes money, and that's just kind of how it is. And so the fact that, it was clear to me that the devs kind of heard somewhat of an outcry, and they modified their airdrop plan at like last minute. I think I was scheduled to get like I think I was going to get like 100 gold, and by the time they ended up changing it, I was like, oh, well, hey, they upgraded. It was 450 or something. I was like, cool. Oh, plus the stand pot and some health and mana push. It's like, okay. So, I did feel good about that. I mean, that's stuff they don't have to do. They don't have to give airdrops. So I think that's another thing that we need to keep in mind too.
Right, right. I agree with that. So let's talk speculation on the classes. So I think Mr. Zipper, who's pretty well tapped in, I'll say quasi confirmed that we're going to see two basic classes and one advanced class, and those are the three that make up what we saw in the trailer. And everything that we've looked at in the data, I would say supports that as well. I don't know. You want to take any wild stabs at what you're hoping to see or what you think we'll see?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, obviously, you got to stick with the ice theme, right? I mean, probably not going to be an Olaf, a Frozen character, as I have small kids. But I think you can kind of
Gen
think in that
ones.
same vein, right? There could be an ice harvester, who knows, right? Otherwise, you're thinking of things like Viking or Berserker, or maybe you have like some sort of shaman or you know those are the places that my mind is going. I mean, I guess it seems kind of basic, but I mean, it could be a basic class. I thought I saw an inventory item of wood. I mean, I guess you could have like a lumberjack, but that seems more like a profession. So
Hmm.
I don't know. What about you? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I think they're gonna start tapping into some of the lore elements. I think like a giant or a dwarf or something like that is gonna feel like fantasy lore style. I think I'm gonna go kind of real basic ideas, and stick to that. I don't know. I'm just overall excited. So one of the things that I'll just go ahead and segue us into the next topic here. But we have a bunch of Crystal Veil Gen Zeros that are starting to come out. What are your expectations for those, and how do you think they're going to impact the dynamic of the game? Because as we're talking about it, we know there's going to be a new class that comes out. There might be a new profession that's not at all confirmed. Something we speculated on. Some people have been very bearish on that. Some people have been very bullish on that. But we know for sure we're getting new classes. What do you think the value of these Gen Zeros that every time they breed, they create that new class, which is going to be very rare on the market day one? How do you think that's going to impact the kind of the dynamic of hero prices?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think the first thing to keep in mind is obviously there should be, what is it, 500 new Gen Zero, so there'll be 250 of each base class, I roughly, just so that the genes work out and you don't have unbalance. But then after that, I think we also have to remember it's been a while, and some people weren't necessarily around, but um, the beginning few summons for Gen Zeros are very cheap. It starts out at 6 joule per summon, and it builds up 2 joule at a time until it caps out at 30 joule,
Right,
for
right.
half of a summon. So you're gonna see there's some value in those Gen Zeros in just that simple fact. And then the other thing that I was thinking of is there was this huge unknown when following the mint of the original Gen Zeros where people didn't know about advanced classes yet. And some of the devs had hinted that there's some special things that people are going to find out.
It took a
Well,
hot minute for those to get figured out. You're right.
it sure did. But this time it's not going to be that way. Two new basic classes, one new advanced, basically means every time you summon, as long as you're in the same uh, amongst the Crystal Veil new set of Gen Zeros, if you're not summoning with your own class, you're summoning with the opposite one, and therefore you have that chance to find it really quickly.
Those
So,
rental prices are going to be astronomical.
well, yeah, and if they, so the next question then is just locale proximity sorts of questions. If they do launch these and they become available on Crystal Veil, are they going to have the bridging all worked out? Maybe you actually won't be able to send them over in and summon with other heroes for a while. Maybe you'll only be able to summon for a while with other Crystal Veil Gen Zeros until all that, hero transfer stuff works well. So I think there's a lot of possible outcomes here.
Yeah, it certainly has my head spinning a bit, and I think hopefully for those of you who are lucky to, and I really hope that, and I think they're doing their best trying to create a lottery system. I think the the denominator and the numerator, the numbers that you're facing when you're trying to earn these are truly lottery tickets. I'm a bit worried that it's going to be a real shot in the dark. But I hope whether it's our listeners or just random DFK users, I hope this gets spread out to players as much as possible. And I think that could happen the way that they're building the system to check it's kind of a once removal check on a random drawing where your highest number of tickets, if they win, then they're out of the drawing for the next hero, and they're giving away now, I think, most of the heroes. I don't know if they're going to sell any of the heroes. Anyways, long story short, I'm hoping that goes to the people. I think that'd be pretty neat, and I think that'd be a great windfall opportunity for someone who gets their hands on Gen Zero. Like you said, summoning values super cheap at first, so I think whether you decide that you're going to pump those out and then start to sell those Gen Ones, I think that they will be super expensive on the marketplace, probably higher than miners right now, which are the most expensive class. And or if you decide to rent your Gen Zero out, I think you could gain a lot there as well. So yeah, I think the way that it will impact the market is you'll see Crystal Veil Gen Zeros go at a premium, perhaps even be worth like the value of a legendary Sarandale hero for some time, and eventually then they'll probably balance out, and maybe every expansion hero set will be worth slightly more. But I could also see, right now before combat, there are some heroes that are worth more than others. You kind of see wizards, pirates, monks at the bottom of the barrel right now. And, perhaps with combat coming out, they'll equalize and become, because all hero classes are supposedly balanced on combat. So maybe we'll see that more balance in the future. But I think what we can say probably for certain is that Crystal Veil Gen Zeros, they are going to be worth a premium at the start.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like I said, even if it's just for those cheap summons, like there's real value there. And then, we can't forget too that sure there's going to be one advanced class, but that also means that there's probably going to be one more advanced ability. that's going to come out too. So right
Mm.
now, if you look at the raw data in the API, you're able to see those advanced, basic abilities 1 to 8 can make advanced abilities 1 to 4. So I suspect that now we're going to have advanced ability 5. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to find a partner hero with advanced ability 6 to go up the elite chain. Until more of these expansions, or as they called them in their trailer teaser here, outposts, more of these outposts, as in Crystal Vale as an outpost, it's going to have those aren't going to be available to make it all the way up to the elite or transcendent level until you get more. Kind of how that binary system works here.
Yeah, and let's dive into that a little more. So, tell us about what stuck out to you, because there's also like there's the game aspects of the expansion, but then there's also like the underlying mechanics aspect of the expansion. Tell us a little more about in your research what you found when it comes to like how are they making this work, and is this important, is this different, is it new? I'll be honest, I've read a couple links, but I'm very underprepared for this conversation. So drop some knowledge bombs on us.
Sure. So yeah, so when I read the Medium article posted on by the DeFi Kingdoms themselves about the DFK chain, which they're calling it, which will be the essentially it is an Avalanche subnet, which from what I'm understanding is largely just its own independent blockchain that's operated by node operators on the larger Avalanche system. So a lot of terminology here, but basically what it comes down to is they're going to have a separate Avalanche chain for just DFK. And that allows them to do some very interesting things. One of the most interesting things is that um, you're going to be able to spend Joule for transactions. Right now we're used to don't ever accidentally swap all of your one for Joule, because then you're like, uh-oh, I'm out of gas. I can't make any transactions, right? We've all done it.
Yeah.
Uh, so in this
Send me
instance, it's
some
going to
pixie
be
dust.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did that maybe once or twice for you. uh, but that's huge. So now the power token of DeFi Kingdom's Jewel will be able to be used as the gas fee. So this is important for a bunch of reasons, but there's two that really jump out. A, you're providing additional utility for this power token, and B, there is a burn mechanic in transaction fees on Avalanche. So what that kind of means is you're gonna get to this is gonna help. Actually, we're at the max all-time cap of 500 million Joule tokens. Well, this is actually going to start chipping away at that with every transaction, shrinking the pool of Joule. So for those of you out there holding the X Joule, that'll be another thing that should inflate the value of those X Joule or Joule in the gardens too, or as they referred to it in Crystal Vale, the ice gardens, which I thought was pretty awesome, and it
Yeah.
makes you think of a whole bunch of things too.
Yeah, gosh, it's such a clever and unique idea, and it certainly the idea was out there of are they going to create their own subnet? What's that mean, and how's it going to work? Clearly, this had been in the works for months, and it might have even been like some of the defining characteristics of why they chose the Avalanche network, opposed to the other networks that are speculated for their expansions. And I think that's pretty neat, and I'm looking forward to it. All
Yeah,
right.
and I think too, one more real quick. I think it's also worth noting that how back in before they released API v6, we had a lot of those RPC issues on Harmony, right? Where you literally just couldn't get a transaction through, right? You remember those days?
Oh yeah.
So on this subnet, this DFK chain, um, they're talking of having DFK specific RPC nodes set up. So basically, you're getting all the other crud, if you will, of the blockchain off onto the other Avalanche subnets, and this would be specific servers that are just hosting access to blockchain data for Crystal Vale. So I mean, in my opinion, that's fantastic. and that's going to have a huge impact on the performance of the game moving forward.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well, that's some great speculation on Crystal Vale. I threw out a question on YouTube. Any other questions tonight on the expansion? So go ahead, send those in. Um, while we're potentially waiting on that, we're gonna go ahead and jump to the next topic. So the next thing, and then we're kind of all over our list tonight here in Neindorf. But let's
All
jump into
good.
some dev dive. I know you've been, putting some work in behind the scenes on the website, and you have a new list of top requests that's out on our Discord channel. So the obligatory shout out to Discord. Go check that out if you haven't already. We got a bunch of community members that are way smarter than me. And go ahead and ask questions or put in some requests to Neindorf himself. I know you've been super active on this. So what do you got in the works?
Yeah, so if you there's an announcements channel on our Discord page, and Guy Kid helped me put together. He helped post and set up the all of our options out there. Feel free to read through them. It's just kind of some things that have come up. People have said, "Hey, this would be cool," or "What about this?" And so it kind of accumulated. This will be our second list. I had done one. I think it was back in mid
Yeah, yeah.
February maybe. And so I feel like now it was time, let's get some community feedback and see where they want the site to go next. So, go vote on that, join the Discord, vote on what you'd like to see, what we're missing. And always, there's the suggestion box too. Feel free to drop more in. We want to make this as useful as possible because if you find it useful, so will we.
Absolutely. So let's talk about one of our, we had a long term goal. We talked about this like 4 weeks ago. We're getting really close to it now. You're calling it the parking meter, and that is to replace subs. And so that's how you get access to the alert system. Everything else that we're doing is not behind the paywall. The alert system is. It takes a lot more investment of your time, and it takes a lot more complicated access to resources. And so we're using those subscription funds to really fund that alert system. Tell us more about kind of that parking meter and what your plans are there and how close are we to that?
So, like you said, and I think the other thing we want to mention too is we've had some subscribers who've had difficulty with Anchor, right? I think you've
Oh
touched on that
yeah.
in previous podcasts, and so this is kind of
A lot
another
of our
method.
international subscribers, I feel like there's a theme there, and
Oh,
that's
sure.
that's unfortunate that Anchor isn't really supporting that group of folks the way we want.
Right. So we want to, we're moving forward. We're going to try to have a different system. And like I said, like you mentioned, I refer to it as a parking meter style. So basically, what we'll do, this is the plan at least. Give us feedback if you think this is a terrible idea. It's still kind of, I'd say about 40% of the way implemented. So I got a little ways yet. But basically, what it is um, we will open it up once this releases so that anybody can create an account. The invite code system will go away so that you don't have to actually uh, message you or I
Right.
on Discord to get an invite code like you do now. And you'll be able to create an account. And when you create that account, you can paste in your public wallet address. And basically, what that's going to do is that's going to have the server then watching basically for you. And so then, anytime after that, if you send Jewel from that wallet address to the website's address, you will be basically credited for those Jewel in a certain amount of time, which is access to the features behind the paywall. And the amount of time you get will be based on a formula. And we're still kind of trying to figure out some of those details. Like I said, about 40% implemented. But that's kind of the thought that we're running here. And that way we can you know, kind of get a little bit of a smoother ship here, hopefully, where we're not having some users kind of left out to dry on Anchor. And
Right.
then it kind of helps disconnect you and I a little bit so that we can kind of reclaim some of our time
Yeah.
as far as managing invite codes. So I think it'll make it better for everyone long
And
term.
And we should clarify that it'll be a not sucky parking meter too. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure some of you out there have had some, kind of gnarly experiences with, I went to go eat. I put in some money in the parking meter, had to come out in the middle of my meal, put more money in the parking meter. So, you could go ahead and you'll be able to load up enough that will cover you for months of access at a time. And so, we want this to be, it's it's a in a way a subscription based system, but also with the flexibility to provide you with the amount of time that ultimately that you feel is within your value system. So that's why we're also calling it the parking meter. But don't think of parking meter as in like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or even days of access. Amounts, and we're still trying to figure out what that amount of Joule is going to be. But some amount of Joule will buy you months of access, and we're also going to be rolling out. I think I can say this. Some early bird discounts, and also some discounts to those who may be subscribed already. So you feel like you have an opportunity to continue on, and we also want to give a thank you out there to those of you who are supporting us right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, we want to do everything we can to make sure that people have a chance to switch over to, so there's not like a possibility of someone getting double subscribed, if you
Right,
will. So yeah,
right.
we're trying to do this kind of slow and methodically. So yep, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. All right, thank you for that. All right, well, I think the last item that we had on the list, kind of a backed by popular demand, so to speak, but something that we had a lot of fun with was Hero of the Day. And one of the most fun episodes that I've done was the last one where we were with Mr. Zipper, and I had you guys each have your own homework assignment. You went and found a hero under a specific set of criteria. And we thought, what the heck? Let's keep that going, and let's look for, maybe a hero of the day, steal of the day, buy of the day, something that is a hero listed in the tavern, and how are you going about looking for that hero? So right now I have the tavern open, and I think I remember the direction that you were going, but maybe kind of lay some of the backdrop on what were you thinking about, and then we'll start to narrow down the criteria, and then eventually get to the hero that you have identified.
Right. So I think I was kind of sticking similar with the rubric we talked about with Mr. Zipper. Let's try to find a hero that has stats that are have rolled well in his levels so far. So that was kind of where I started, and I didn't pay a whole lot of mind to profession because at the moment profession kind of has a pretty big premium attached to it, and so I think if you're looking for deals, a non-matching profession is probably the number one thing that if you sacrifice that, your possibility of finding a deal goes up quite a bit. So
And
that's kind of where I started.
it's funny here. So right now I'm playing with the intelligence, and obviously I don't have my screen shared with you at the moment. Well, not obviously to our viewers, but just as an FYI. So I punched in 24 intelligence into the hero
Okay.
tavern, and I'll do this at a pace so you can kind of jump in Neindorf and look at the
Sure.
tavern yourself. So if I punch in 24 intelligence, there's 3 heroes on the tavern right now that have that level. If I then punch in 22 intelligence, there are 10 heroes that fit that
Yeah.
category. And let's just say the price difference between those heroes, the cheapest hero with 22 intelligence is a summoner, common summoner at level 4 for 70 joules. 24 intelligence, you jump up to the cheapest hero on the market is 750 joule. That is a
Wow.
10x difference. That is insane. And that is a level 6 right there. There's a level 5, 2 level 5 summoners as well on the market. So that is just absolutely wild how different that is. In 23, there are only 5 heroes on the market. So it goes up by just marginally more. And so really, what's that mean? There's only two more listed. Yeah, yeah, two more listed. So, if
I
you look
think
at
that
that 22 hero right now, there's that level 4 common summoner 70. Your bonus, if you select your bonus on level up, once he gets to level 5, he is in that elite tier. And I accidentally selected this, mind you, just now. But hero 93158 to our listeners, not financial advice, go buy this son of a gun right now. Trismere Kator. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, if you get one level, you're guaranteed that you're going to get 23 intelligence just by selecting that as your primary bonus. And there is a really high stat roll chance that as a summoner, he gets an intelligence bonus. And let's just put that back into perspective. So let's just say, and it's a summoner monk, so decent chance at getting 2 points to intelligence. Again, there are 25. So there are oh, maybe some heroes left the market. That's strange.
weird. Someone just bought him.
No, I was punching in the wrong things. All right, so you're at 22, right? We decided with this guy. And if
Yep.
you get up to 24, I was punching in the wrong numbers. Too many vodka waters tonight.
Oh, there
Um,
you go.
if you punch in 24 intelligence, you have a level 6, a level 5, a level 5. Those are the three heroes on the market. You would
Wow.
now be a level 5, and you bought him for 70 jewel. The other two level 5s, granted, the three on the market are rare, legendary, mythic, but still, those are the three heroes on the market. Um, those other heroes are going for 750, 770, and the mythic is 1800. Now granted, that's they're being priced for their rarity as well, but you are potentially prepping yourself for combat, so I think that's pretty fantastic. So that I kind of took us on a tangent by just randomly punching in intelligence and looking at that. When you're looking at this, what numbers are you using? Are you using kind of those low 20s, or what number are you punching
Yeah.
into the system?
So if you still have that up, like you said, I'm not watching your screen, but if you have that up still, punch in 25 strength. I think you'll find something very fascinating.
All right, I will punch in 25 strength. And actually, as I'm doing that here, I'm gonna pull up our YouTube comments, and we got we got Mex Mike who just joined, one of our
Nice.
amazing winners on our Gen Zero summon. You received the Gen 1. It's a bit of a summon at cost giveaway that we did, and he said, I'm selling one of those elites and a Dread Knight, and I'm thinking they will be less valuable when the PJ heroes come back. Is this what you guys think also? Um, and then he said, LOL, that is my Sage. Yeah, that's. I think it's going to dilute the market. I guess. What are your thoughts, Neidorf?
Well, I think it'll be a distinguisher, but there's a lot of different distinguishers, right? Like, it'll just be one more thing that the market has to consider when buying heroes, is the way I would phrase it. So, like I said in the intro to this segment, if you're looking for a deal, disregard profession. In the future, another one of those is, well, if you're looking for a deal, probably disregard whether or not they survive PGA. I think it's just going to be another one of those facets of the hero market that we all have to kind of keep in our mind as we're looking.
Yeah.
I guess that's where I'm at. So did you get 25 pulled up? What do you got?
All right. So I got it punched right now. Click and apply. All right. There are two heroes on the market, both Dark Knights. One
Look
is
at their
an
prices.
uncommon 129. The other one is a Dark Knight common for 200. So, gosh, that uncommon for 129. Flipping the card over. Whoa, a decent fishing score, too. I mean, for
Yeah.
Dark Knight. 25 strength. Woo. Wow.
So the one that's 129 jewels, the uncommon, is only a level 4. and the other hero card for sale is level 6. So you already
Wow.
so they have matching strengths, and one is 2 levels behind. That
Wow.
uncommon Fisher is a steal.
Dornick Apid. Well, let's hope that people go ape on Dornick Apid here. So now what I'm gonna do is bounce over to the Barkeep Kessing. I'm gonna look at the
Yep.
hero viewer. Excuse me, hero catalog. Whoa, my computer's glitching out on me. Okay, hero catalog. I'm gonna jump over to the stats. So now this is looking at all the heroes possible that have
Yep.
25 strength. I'm gonna click apply, and that is 100 heroes exactly that have 25
Wow.
strength. And
Well, as there pages, go to the bottom. Double check real quick. There might
good,
be a page. I'm
good
worried
call.
you're paginating here.
Oh, I am. I am. You're right.
So I'm afraid that there might be a bunch, but you're still 25 is still extraordinarily high for level 4. Maybe, oh
Yeah,
yeah, there you go. Filter it down to level 4.
yeah. Great call. So 20 strength, 24. Or was that 25?
He was actually 25 even. Yep.
25, and then jumping over to levels.
Say the max of level
Let's go.
4.
Yep, max level 4. There's one hero.
Let me
All
guess.
right, so yeah, that guy.
It's our
Yep,
bad boy Dornick.
it is Dornick going ape. All right, so then
Oh,
if you jump up to level 5, which I'm on, it then jumps up to 58. And so,
see, so he is ahead of his game by far.
oh yeah, absolutely. He's poised to make that jump for sure.
Yep.
Um,
And
and
he's
and
gonna
you
get
know,
that extra
like,
strength
yeah,
for the
you're
rarity bump.
exactly. He's gonna have, well, he's a couple things going for him. Yeah, he's got the rarity bump, he's got the bonus, and he is a Dark Knight and what's his secondary class? Dark Knight Pirate. Pirates
Yep,
are decent on the strength roll. I
that's
think I
right.
want to say somewhere between like the 17 and 19%
Yep.
roll range. So
Yeah, they have
that's
a good roll.
that's not that bad. I think that's gosh, for 129, that's worth a flyer for someone out there. Not financial advice.
Keep refreshing, hoping he's gonna disappear. That someone. Otherwise, I'm gonna be too tempted to buy him here in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be a real kick in the pants for our anchor listeners who jump into this later. Like,
Uh,
hey, this is a really good deal, and Nindorf bought it.
yeah, yeah.
All
No,
right.
this is a fun segment. We got to keep this segment going. I really enjoy looking at this market and seeing what we can chase out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're getting around to closing time here. So, what any other viewer questions on YouTube? I gotta wait. I think about 30 seconds for the delay to kick in. So, if there's any other YouTube questions out there, go ahead and drop them in right away. Um, Neindorf, I guess something that you and I have been thinking about and we haven't touched on yet is what are we doing with our Gen Zeros? We talked a little bit about Gen Zeros compared to the value of Crystal Veil. We had actually been contemplating selling one of our Gen Zeros, and I would say not because we don't believe in the game, but more so because we believe there's an opportunity to cash in on jewels. I think it's probably because we're actually more bullish on the game. You want to elaborate on that a little more?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think, there's a lot going on in the very near future with the Crystal Veil launch, whether it be, single staking or these ice gardens that we're starting to hear about. So it's pretty clear to me that there's a lot of utility for Jewel coming up and a lot of probably very profitable opportunity. And at the moment, with the hero market being what it is and how many heroes there are, there's over 150,000 heroes now. Summoning has not been as profitable as it was when we first bought our Gen Zero.
Right.
Um, and so, but the Gen Zero prices have stayed, I would say, what, relatively consistent,
They've
the
seen,
floor
yeah.
price. So we were just considering basically converting one of our Gen Zeros back into Jewel in order to take advantage of some of these financial opportunities the game is providing. And who knows? Maybe in the future, when these opportunities kind of balance out and all these APRs are kind of level loaded, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're all the arbitrage has been squeezed out basically. Maybe we'd consider getting another one back. But it's just kind of one of those things where, and also I think it's important to note too that when we bought these two, we didn't know about matching abilities and all that. And so maybe now we would look for we did choose a monk and a pirate to make that ninja opportunity. And we just got lucky that the two happened to have a chance at one advanced ability. But I think if we were going to move forward, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for you, but I would think we would want to target another one for sale that would match and have two or three possible opportunities on every summon.
Yeah, I do like that idea. I think, what's kind of in my mind, I think first and foremost, what you started with is, you know, perhaps transforming one of these Gen Zeros into more Jewel. I think there could be a drop or a dip in Sarandale Gen Zero value when the Crystal Veil heroes come out. Um, and I think that it would be we would be in a situation where we would be increasing based on our original jewel price that we purchased them at. We'd be increasing the amount of jewels in return. And if we're bullish on jewel value going up over time, which we are, then I think that pays off. That's a what would be considered a smart choice. I think the one thing that I kind of launched out to you as a potential counter argument to this and why you would want to hold your Gen Zeros is that who knows what other kind of special value they're going to hold in the future of the game. The perilous journey. No one imagined at all, by any stretch, this idea of a questing concept come out. And there is value if you have a Gen Zero right now, you sent them on the boat and they are protecting your other heroes and they're giving them a 3% protection on value. And whether it's we've talked about map traveling, we've talked about owning land and guilds. I think that there down the road there's the opportunity for Gen Zeros to boost combat stats or boost the effectiveness of your plot of land in your guild based on how many Gen Zeros you have, or another perilous journey, which will happen probably with the next the voyage. And so it's this really challenging nebulous of ultimately forecasting what you think the value is going to be that we're kind of going through right now, and hopefully we're not alienating too much of our listener base. I do feel very fortunate that we were able to get in when we did and get some Gen Zeros. But I think this kind of applies. This kind of concept of value applies to a lot of different hero segments in the marketplace right now.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with what you're saying, and I think we meant you had brought up another point we talked about is hero travel, and that's something I'd kind of heard some people on our Discord channel mentioning is that they were kind of, the tavern is a little slower now. Like there's not as many fresh Gen ones being made. There's very few fresh Gen ones being made, and I kind of come to the realization that I think that's going to maintain once the heroes return, not immediately, but once you have to send your heroes out across the map. I suspect that you won't be able to summon unless you are in Sarandale or one of these outposts because you need a portal. That's my thought. And or maybe someday down the road, maybe you could build a portal on your land. So that if you're out in that far corner and it takes days to get there, it's kind of like safe summoning harbor, right? And so all
Yeah.
these things are kind of in my mind about what could be possible. And I think these things are going to be important moving forward. Like the hero market has exploded, but I think it's partly just because there wasn't really a whole lot else for us to do with the Gen Zeros. But they're going to be questing and they're going to be leveling, and all that's going to have a huge factor moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I have up on screen right now the cost of Gen Zeros right now. The floor is 4,600 jewels. And there is a 4600 jewel hero for level 4. And then there is a warrior primary class, warrior subclass, level 6, going for 4700 jewels. And they are a fisher subclass. And I think that is heavily influencing where the price of this hero is at. Um, Boosted strength and intelligence, or excuse me, boosted agility and intelligence, which isn't that great. But I think that's one that, like, level 6, like, for 100 more jewel compared to the other one that's level 4, I think that's one that, if you're really in the market here, you might also be able to, if you're in the market to buy, you might, and this would almost be a counter against selling. If you're in the market to buy, it clearly looks like levels aren't, worth that much.
Yeah, which is odd because, that is serious time that somebody has spent leveling, right? Or maybe even in some cases put stampots down like we talked about.
Right.
So I think, those Gen Zeros that have sat more idle, that they're behind. They're gonna have some catching up to do. So I'm actually a little surprised that maybe that doesn't figure in as much. And I think, as time progresses, the Gen Zeros that were maybe more abandoned by their profile owners, if you will, they probably are going to separate themselves in price. And so that is something else that we'll have to consider. And then obviously these Crystal Veil Gen Zeros are going to be at ground zero. Like they're going to be starting from scratch. So, they'll be behind for a while too. And maybe that would have a cost impact, but according to what we're seeing right now, it doesn't seem like that'll figure in a whole lot.
Okay, so I just looked at this guy's hero details card too, and damn, I'm not trying to call this guy out on the podcast, but this hero was last sold for 10,000 jewel in November.
Wow.
And they're now going for 4,600 jewel, and I'm guessing that's jewel was probably around 10, 11, 12, $13 at that time period. So maybe you're looking at approximately equivalent dollar values, but still a little just interesting. So
Yeah, that could be a rough one. And that's the other thing, when you're holding these, like we talked about at the beginning, these assets are expensive, and you kind of gotta keep an eye on all that.
you certainly do. All right, well, let me jump back over to YouTube, see if we got any special questions. We got a couple of viewers saying I'm waiting to see if I win a Crystal Veil Gen Zero. Me too. I'm
Oh, absolutely.
I'm hoping those boat raffle tickets end up making a big difference here. So, any closing comments for you, Neindorf?
Um, I think for me, it's just, I think these are exciting times. We've got a lot going on right now for a game that we really still, as we've talked about, can't actually play yet. So it's this moment in my mind where I'm still super excited, and there's so much potential here that it's hard to put this stuff down sometimes. So, I just can't imagine once we're full on combat, questing, moving heroes across, the board risk style, like, kind of setting up our army almost. I don't know. This game has got me, and I couldn't be more bullish.
Yeah. I love the idea of the game risk. That's awesome. Or for those of you who are super nerds out there, Axis and Allies. one of my
There you
favorite
go.
one of my favorite board games of all time. All right. Well, thank you from us, and remember to check out the Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms Discord if you're not there already. And a big thank you to our viewers out there. Now that I actually have a functioning computer, we might be doing more of these live streams. To be honest, because I'm lazy, it's just as easy for the two of us to do a live stream. Actually, no, I should take that back. It's actually easier for me to do a live stream than it is for me to record it offline and then upload everything. So thank you for those of you who have shown up to hang out, and best of luck to you as we can continue on, and Godspeed to your heroes coming back on that boat. All right. Well, take care and have